Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Thank you for joining me for this video. And today we're going to be talking about former NFL punter Steve Weatherford beats his porn addiction, and now he uses his victory to inspire the lives of others as a life coach. And so a little bit of background about Steve back when he was actually playing in the NFL. So he was a punter dating from 2006, in which he started with the New Orleans Saints, all the way up until 2015, in which he finished his final year with the New York Jets. Now, throughout his career, he has spent the most time with the New York Giants, in which he was there for 4 years throughout the span of 2011 to 2014, in which he was a part of one of the Giants Super Bowl wins against the New England Patriots. But to highlight his entire career, he has punted a total of, and this is including, and he also did some kickoffs as well throughout his career. But in terms of punt yards, he has over 30,000 punt yards throughout his career on 678 punts. His longest punt in his career was 71 yards. And so, yeah, punting for teams like the Saints, the Giants, the Jets, Jaguars, and Kansas City Chiefs. So he's certainly someone that is a very decorated punter that has nearly a decade of experience in the NFL. But with that being said, this is not what the story is about today. We're going to talk a little bit more so about his journey here. So the article goes on to talk about Steve Rutherford's historic punting performance, obviously in the Super Bowl. That was one of the differences. They gave the Giants a championship win over the New England Patriots, but it didn't make the difference in himself that he was looking for. The former Giants punter struggled with addiction to pornography through his life and waited for a moment that would wipe away the grief from those struggles. When the euphoria of Super Bowl heroics didn't do it, he realized the problems wouldn't just fade away on their own. And as with any addiction, I mean, it's something that you have to tackle head on. I mean, to each person who's in that struggle, they certainly, it's really an uphill battle that they're constantly having to face. And he said he had the greatest performance a punter's ever had statistically in the Super Bowl, and he thought for sure he'd feel different after he won, what he told Insider. But then he goes to remember going back to his hotel room later that night. He says that he woke up to the big window and looked out and just saw thousands of people flooding the streets. And he remembered thinking to himself, they look so happy. He just felt this depression come over him. And he said all these people that were at the game, they didn't even have their best game ever, and they're so happy. And that's when he knew there wasn't anything inside of the NFL that was going to fix this, as he describes, God-sized hole he had inside of his chest. And he said the turning point that set him on the path towards tackling his addictions head on, that was the turning point. And he says now he uses the victory of overcoming the addiction to fuel his new passion as a motivational speaker, as leading of his own coaching program, and it's called Become the CEO of Your Life. And so he says, Rutherford's addiction took faith and instruction to overcome. Rutherford first exposed himself to porn as a preteen, planting the seed for an issue that later affected his marriage. He said he first watched porn when he was 13 and he knew it wasn't something that was good for him. However, he said, you're happy. He said, whenever you're happy, porn is there. Whenever you're sad, porn is there. Whenever you feel rejected, porn is there. And whenever you have despair, porn is there. And so that's basically just attributing to why, these issues continue to develop and became stronger and stronger, and something that he had to eventually overcome. And he said more than 20 years of struggling with this addiction, he found help in therapy, guidance, and faith. He said his faith that was a trigger that pushed Rutherford to overcome his addiction after the depression that came over him following the Super Bowl, in which obviously the Giants had won. But Rutherford decided to renew his lifelong faith, and it gave him the motivation to seek the help that he needed. And here's a picture of him. And so this basically, talks about his journey. And I'll leave this alone from here. But certainly, this is him sharing his story in terms of how he overcame the addiction. And if you want to read more about it, be sure to check out his Becoming the CEO of Your Life. As he certainly is someone that's lived that experience. And obviously, addictions can be in different types of forms. And so, certainly, Happy for him that he's able to overcome it. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining me for this video. Hope you enjoyed. And of course, as more things continue to unfold or, stories like this continue to happen, I'd be sure to share it with you. But thank you so much for joining and hope you have a great rest of your day.